What's up, guys? Your boy Hokage Puya here, and I wasn't gonna make a video like this because I think trying to break it, trying to predict the knockout stages is sometimes silly, in my opinion, heading into international tournaments. But I'm sitting here and I see people doing it. I like the videos, and I'm like, you know what? I want to do my own video. I want to do my own video where I predict the knockout stage of the Asia Cup. And that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to do it based off how predicted the groups to finish. So there's this nice little site I'm going to show you guys on the screen right now where I went through and chose the scores for every single match and kind of got it to who I would think the best third place teams are and who I think will finish first and second in the groups. And it gave me a nice knockout table on how the round of 16 would look like. And then I went in slides. It made a little slide with animations so we could progress through the knockout bracket and see how I predict the knockout stages based on how I predicted the groups. So I'm going to try to not yap. I told myself I wouldn't yap in the last video. That video ended up being almost 40 minutes long. So I'm really going to try live practice with these videos I post to not yap for 30-40 minute videos, because who's going to have time to sit there and listen for me to 30-40 minutes? And if you do, let's reassess what you're doing in life if you're sitting down and listening to me for 30-40 minutes. Personally, I don't know how you could sit down and listen to this guy for 34 minutes straight. But anyway, let's just get into it. No wasting time. I'm probably, there's no website for this for AFCON, but if I muster up the brain power, I'll probably do something like this for AFCON too, because screw it, why not? Let's pump out this Asia Cup and AFCON content, bro. It comes once every 4 years. Asia Cup, I know AFCON's like every 2 years, but yeah, man, let's go. So I added it to the stage, and here we are. Actually, I don't like this one. Let's go to this. Beautiful. Thank you, StreamYard. I like StreamYard. So just to recap how I thought the groups would finish. So this is how I think Group A is going to finish, as I said in my predictions video for the groups. If you haven't watched that and you want a more in-depth analysis of each group, go watch that before you watch this one, because I'm going to tease what I think the groups are going to finish. I think Group A will finish Qatar first, China second, Lebanon third, Tajikistan fourth. And you could see down here the scores I put. I try to guess these scores genuinely, and a lot of them were ending up the tables ended up being exactly how I thought they would be for my group predictions. So if you want to pause the video and look at the scores I put, I'm not going to go through all the scores, because then it will be a 40 minute to an hour long video. So you could pause the video and look at the scores I put, but those are the scores I put. This is how the group ends: Qatar first, China second, Lebanon, Tajikistan in third and fourth place. I'll show you guys, after I show you my groups, how the best ranking of third place teams is going to look like. So that's how I predicted Group A in my previous video. Group B: Australia first, Uzbekistan second, India third, Syria fourth. Going on to Group C, my boys Iran first, UAE second, Palestine third, and Hong Kong fourth. Group D, Japan obviously first, Iraq second, Indonesia third, and Vietnam fourth. Sorry, Vietnam. Group E, Korea, South Korea, Korea Republic. I don't know. I don't really know what they prefer to be called, because we all know about their brothers up north, North Korea. We don't need to talk about Kim Jong-un. I mean, not Kim and Jay, Kim Jong-un. Malaysia second. Shout out to the Malaysians. They've been strong on my channel in the comments. Respect to Malaysia. Bahrain third, Jordan fourth, and lastly, but not leastly, that's not the saying. Last but not least, Saudi Arabia in first, Thailand second, Oman third, Kyrgyzstan shockingly predicting them to finish fourth, and Group F come the end of the group stage of the Asia Cup. So, and if you wanted to, I sized it so they could see all the scores. If you wanted to pause the video and look at the scores I put, let me know in the comments if you disagree with some of the scores I put. Let me know. If you agree, tell me I'm a good boy in the comments. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. That was cringe, but yeah. And going off these scores that I put, these are what the best third place teams are looking like. So with the way I did it, Lebanon, Palestine, India, and Oman would be the four third place teams to make it into the knockout stage. And unfortunately, sorry Bahrain, sorry Indonesia, from my predictions, from my groups and the scores I put, it looks like Bahrain and Indonesia from my predictions are the third place teams, I think, that will not make it to the knockout stages, unfortunately, because they did not get more than 3 points. As you can see, Oman and India, 3 points, Palestine, Lebanon, 4 points. Bahrain, Indonesia, no more than 2 points. So, yeah, and with things panning out that way, this is what the round of 16 of the knockout stage would look like based on my group predictions. Um, I really like this website. It really puts it all beautifully there for you. So that's just a quick recap of my group predictions and how that would kind of transition to how the knockout stage would look like. So if we're gonna just go, we're gonna pull up my little bracket I made for my predictions. Let me just share a screen real quick. I made a nice little Google slide presentation. Hopefully you can see it. You can, but I don't like this view. This view is ugly. Let's do this view. Perfect, beautiful. It's on full screen. So we're going to start from the top left. We're going to start with China versus UAE. Now, China versus UAE is a very interesting game because these guys haven't played each other in a match since like 2011. So really, there's no recent head-to-head data on these teams. So we really have to go with how we're feeling about their squads, the strength of their squads, and their form coming into the tournament. And you know what? Unfortunately, I do think that in the end, China just does not have enough quality anymore to beat some of these teams in the Asian Cup. And I do think UAE, they're on better form coming into the tournament. I do think they're a stronger team overall than China. Maybe China can prove me wrong, but I do believe that in the end, UAE, if this is the matchup, if my predictions are right, I do think the UAE would beat China 100%. And then if we go down to the next matchup, Japan versus Oman, I want to not just disrespect Oman and just say, oh, Japan 100%, but it's hard not to, man. Japan is cracked. Japan are a super strong team. They got the samurai blue, man. They got some of the sexiest jerseys in world football, and they just have incredible team spirit. So, respect to Oman. They're a solid team. It would be good for them. It would be a good achievement for them to make it to the round of 16 of the Asian Cup. So I can't see a scenario where Oman beats Japan. I just really can't unless Oman pulls up and they decide to play all players in their box and an ultra defensive counter-attacking tactic against Japan. I I don't know. I just don't know about that. I just don't know about that against a team like Japan. So I do think Japan would probably beat Oman like 2-0, 3-0. I think Japan obviously as one of the favorites. Most people would predict that. And we go down to the next matchup, Australia versus Lebanon. This is another one. Actually, this is a tougher decision because I do think if you look at my third place ranking team, from my predictions, Lebanon, I'm predicting to be one of the be the strongest third place team, a team finishing on 4 points in their group. Um, so you have to give respect to Lebanon, but man, Australia, they're just one of the giants, man. Just like Japan, they're just one of the giants. They had a strong World Cup, made it to the round of 16. Advancing from a tough group. Don't forget they advanced from a tough ass group. And these guys they have gone to basically continue that form since the World Cup, you know, showing great team spirit, showing great quality, showing good progress as a team. Guys like Mui, Jackson Irvine, Matthew Ryan in the net, in goal for them. I think Australia Australia around a 16 finish would be embarrassing for them. And I don't think they let it slip from their hands like that. I know it's a basic pick, but I think you'd have to agree with me here. Australia would beat Lebanon. I'm predicting that based on my little brackets here. And we go to the next one. Now, this is a close matchup, Saudi Arabia versus Malaysia, because shout out to Malaysians, my Malaysians in the comments, my Malaysian viewers. You guys went crazy on my Asia Cup video showing that support. Respect. Their team is strong, man. Their team is strong. They have some nice little players in that Malaysian team. And I talked about it in my Asia Cup group predictions. Saudi Arabia was a team I was kind of disrespecting. Look, if we're talking about post World Cup earlier in 2023, I would have thought, in a year's time, Saudi Arabia, we don't have to take them serious for Asia Cup 2024. We just don't have to. But But I'm telling you guys, Roberto Mancini being the head coach of the Saudi Arabia team and the all the money that was pumped in the Saudi league, bringing all these European players, 100%. I mean, all these Saudi guys play in the Saudi Pro League, basically. These Saudi players had to have, you know, benefited from all this European talent coming into the league, all these European coaches coming into the league. Roberto Mancini, you know, led Italy from the depths of the dumpster to a European championship, a knockout style tournament. I really think Mancini is going to have big influence on what Saudi Arabia does at this tournament. And that's an X factor for me. The amount of money that was pumped in the Saudi Pro League and Mancini, such an experienced manager being there, a guy that the players will respect and listen to. I just can't choose Saudi. I can't choose. Sorry, Malaysia. I can't choose you guys over Saudi. I do think Saudi wins that matchup against Malaysia. Now we head over to the right side, Iran versus India. This is Iran's basically last chance at winning silverware with this little golden generation they had. Azmoun, Ghoddos, Taremi, Jahanbakhsh, Beiranvand being, always playing well for them in goal. You have Rezayan in the back who, he might have never made it to great heights in European football, but every time he puts on the jersey for Iran, he performs like a world-class talent. Ezzatullah also in midfield, all those guys. So it's their last chance to win something, and I don't think an Indian team who is aging and they don't have too many up-and-comers coming up. Sunil Chetri, I think, still plays for India, like I stated in my Asia Cup video. I just don't see how they would beat Iran. I really don't see. I think this would be a tough game for India to not lose like 3-1, 4-1. I do think Iran would put a bunch of goals past them. So, yeah, I would choose Iran as the winner. And we go down to the next one. Now, this, out of the round of 16 matchups, is probably the toughest to choose because South Korea, I am so high on South Korea. If you watch my Asia Cup video, I am all in on the South Korean. I know I'm Persian. I'm supporting Iran 100%, but I'm all in on the South Korea hype train going into this tournament. I'm 100% all in on Son, Hwang Hee-chan, Kang In Lee, Kim Min-jae. I'm all in on all these guys. But Iraq, man, these guys are never no slouches in Asia Cup, man. They're never no slouches. These guys, like, they will make a game with anyone. When people think of the top nations in Asian Cup football, they think of Japan, Australia, Iran, South Korea. Those are the big four. Saudi Arabia, if you want to put them in there too. And Iraq, I feel like, has never been considered one of the Asian Cup, Asian Confederation giants, but they typically always give really tough games to all the big teams. Any team in the Asian Federation, they always give it a good game and always make life so difficult. But the way Son is playing, the way Hwang Hee-chan's playing, Kim Min-jae in the back at center back, top 3 center back in the world, I think, I'm sorry, Iraq, they're going to give South Korea a tough test in the round of 16 if this ends up happening. But that's too much firepower. That's too much world-class quality with guys like that and Kang and Lee that I mentioned before. That's just too much quality for South Korea to lose to an Iraq team who doesn't have any world-class players. South Korea probably has the most, in-form players coming into this tournament, 100%. I just can't see. I can't. I could see a scenario where Iraq pulls off a shock upset. Don't get me wrong. Like, Iraq has a chance of beating South Korea, but I'm gonna go with the mighty South Korea with all those amazing talents they have. I think they'd beat Iraq. I think they would. Now, let's go down the list. I think Qatar versus Palestine is probably the most boring. Along with China, UAE, Qatar, Palestine is probably the most boring matchups of my round of 16 draw. Round of 16, the way my round of 16 shaped out. But I mean, I think this would be the end of the road for Palestine. Now, maybe I only chose Palestine to be one of the top third place teams because of what's going on in the world right now. I don't even know how these players would be mentally going into this tournament due to all the shit that's going on with Palestinians in the Middle East. Like, we're not going to talk about that right now, but this is a football channel. But I just maybe I was a little Disney Plus, a little bit too optimistic about Palestine's chances getting to the knockouts. But say they were to get in the knockouts, I think this would be the end of the road. Like, I don't know how these players would be able to play uh, to maximum, strength and maximum ability under the conditions that are going on back at home. I just really don't see it. That's like a social aspect of this game. So, yeah, and Qatar, they have all these. I mean, Qatar doesn't have a bunch of. I don't think they have any players in Europe, to be honest. But I just think their players. I just think their team is stronger. I think that it just comes out. I think the mental side of things for Palestine and just that Qatar's team is just much stronger than Palestine's team. That's kind of my only reason here for choosing Qatar over Palestine in this fixture. I can't give you too much analysis on the game. I just think Qatar is stronger. I just think Qatar is stronger. I don't know what else to tell you. And in the last round of 16 tie in the bottom right of my screen, Uzbekistan versus Thai. In my Asia Cup video, I told you guys how high I am on Uzbekistan. These guys are tough to play against. They have some quality players. And the Thai, good on them. If they make a round of 16 in the tournament, I think that's a success for them. They got some of the best food in the world. I just think the Thai team, a team that is so unphysical, a team that lacks so much physicality like the Thai, going against probably the top, if not the toughest team physically in the Asian Federation, in those Uzbekistani players who, man, they give you those hard tackles. They make that game rough and tough on you. I just don't, I think this might be a battering for the Thai, is what I'm just saying. If Uzbekistan and Thailand play each other around a 16, I think it might be a battering, like 3-4 5-0 Uzbekistan. So it would be a great achievement for the Thai to make another round of 16 in the Asia Cup, but it's like it's the physically weakest team in Asian Federation against like the physically strongest team, and the Uzbekistan team has more quality anyway, player by player, man by man. So I'm gonna choose Uzbekistan. I'm gonna choose Uzbekistan. So that's why I think the quarterfinals are going to line up. So let's start with in the top left again. Let's go for UAE versus Japan. And yeah, I'm going to keep it short. This is where UAE's road ends. Japan continuing the samurai blue, storming the competition. I think they'd probably smash UAE, honestly, like 3-0 again, like a 4-1, 3-1. I think Japan will probably be one of the top scoring teams at this. Well, obviously, they'll be one of the top scoring teams at this. I keep wanting to say AFCON, Asia Cup, if not the highest scoring team at this Asia Cup. But yeah, man, would anyone in their right mind choose UAE over Japan? Now, let's say Japan in the group stages gets some key injuries. Maybe. But Japan kind of have it easy in their round of 16 and quarterfinal matchups here. I can't choose UAE over Japan. Japan to go to the semifinals. And obviously, we got some big boy matchups here in the quarterfinals. And the first really big boy matchup here, Australia versus Saudi Arabia. Now, like I said before, a year ago, I would have chosen Australia any day of the week. But with the improvements to the Saudi league, the exposure to much more quality players for these Saudi players, with Roberto Mancini as the manager, you guys, Australia is not a 100% foregone conclusion in this match. 100% not. I know Saudi Arabia coming into this tournament, like they've won like the last 3 or 4 games, whatever, but the Australia team is in much better form. They have players in Europe. They have much more players in Europe, and players, or at least players that have also had experience in Europe. Matthew Ryan, Aaron Mui, Jackson Irvine, all these guys. Um, Actually, I don't know if Jackson Irvine played in Europe. I don't know. Someone correct me on that in the comments if you know, but I'm gonna go with a shock pick. I don't know if many people would agree with me, but you guys, I really believe in this Roberto Mancini influence on the team and the quality of the Saudi Pro League affecting the quality of the Saudi national team. I really, really believe it. I think Mancini just has something going in these knockout tournaments. We saw it with Italy. I'm gonna go with an upset win here. I think a lot of people would think this is an upset win. I'm gonna choose Saudi Arabia. I'm gonna choose Saudi Arabia over Australia. This is knockout football. Remember, guys. In tournaments, things never happen how we predict them. The games where we think are foregone conclusions end up being the closest games and the games that give us the biggest surprises. I think right here, if this matchup were to happen in the quarterfinals, this is one of those games where knockout football shows its true colors, and a team like Saudi would trump and upset and get an upset win over Australia 100%. And you get a tasty, tasty matchup in the semifinals with Japan versus Saudi Arabia, which is not a matchup you get to see too often in the Asian Confederation. Saudi Arabia and Japan don't play each other often. They really don't. So we're going to get to the fixture that's going to hurt me the most. You guys, I've sat here before I made this video when I was making this little slide deck with my animations, choosing how I think the knockout stages would pan out. I think I spent like an hour going back and forth in my head between Iran versus South Korea. Because you have two teams with immense attacking quality. Immense attacking quality. You have two teams with, their midfields aren't the strongest. Don't get me wrong. I think South Korea's midfield is probably slightly stronger, but their midfields are pretty even. And to be honest, their defenses are pretty even, besides the fact that South Korea has probably, if not, probably one of the best, if not the best center back in the world in Kim Min-jae. And both South Korea's goalie and Iran's goalies, they always perform for their national teams. So this really comes down to who wants it more. I really think if this matchup happens, this could be the game of the tournament, Iran versus South Korea. Obviously, Iran and South Korea have a rich history of playing each other. I kind of feel like, like maybe you agree with me or not, but I really think Iran and South Korea have a little bit of a rivalry. They do have a little bit of a rivalry. I feel like in the last 10 years, they've played each other a bunch of times. Results have flipped. Iran winning sometimes, South Korea winning sometimes. But really, man, this would be a very amazing showcase of some of the best attacking talent the Asian Confederation has to offer. You have Hwang Hee-chan and Heung-min Son and Kang In Lee going up against Azmoun, Taremi, Jahanbakhsh. You guys, that sounds pretty fun to me. That sounds pretty fun to me. And as much as I want to pick Iran, guys, as much as I want to pick Iran, I really think Iran has a mentality issue in the Confederation and in these players where we just cannot get over that hump and achieve success. I really don't believe we can get over that hump and achieve success. Because in the last two World Cups, we could have got out of those groups, and we could have, if we had a little extra mental edge and a little extra ability to just get it done and get wins, we could have made the round of 16 in the last two World Cups, but they just couldn't do it. Especially in this last World Cup. In that USA game, Iran could not get over that hump. And I think this is just a hump too big for them to get over. South Korea with their attacking quality, I do think that this would be a 3-2 game. Iran versus South Korea, a 3-2 goal fest with South Korea winning it. As much as that hurts me to say, Iran's last chance at probably winning silverware with all these quality players that they have. I'm sorry, I have to choose South Korea. I'm sorry, I have to. And we're going to go to the last quarterfinal game, Qatar versus Uzbekistan. I wasn't too hot on Qatar or Palestine before in that round of 16 tie. I'm high on Uzbekistan. I'm going to keep it short. I think Uzbekistan beats Qatar. I think it'd be a tough game because, Uzbekistan, I laud them. I give them praise for being such a strong team physically and having, playing good football at the same time, having some quality players, but they don't have too much quality to the point where like their team is way better than Qatar's team. But at the same time, I just think their team together is super strong, and it's honestly tough for me to trust Qatar. I know they're the Asia Cup defending champions, but it's tough for me to trust Qatar after that World Cup disgraceful World Cup performance. It's really, 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 really hard for me to take Qatar seriously after that World Cup performance. So I'm gonna go Uzbekistan. I'm sorry. If you disagree with that, let me know in the comments. If I'm too harsh on Qatar, let me know. But I think it's fair. I think it's fair. So obviously now we're at the semifinals. Now the semifinals we got some two spicy clashes. Let's start with the first one, Japan versus Saudi Arabia. I think this is where it would fall off for Saudi Arabia. I think I was talking about Mancini being, first of all, I was talking about Mancini being this quality manager that could guide these Saudi Arabian players who I think have probably benefited from the increase in quality in the Saudi Pro League, but I do think this would be where it all kind of crumbles for Saudi Arabia, because on the other side, you have a Japan team who has more quality. You have a Japan team who I'm literally, I know this is so bad of me, but I'm forgetting Japan's manager's name. But you have a Japanese manager. Gosh, what is his name? Gosh, I'm so stupid. I'm literally God, I'm sorry, but let me know in the comments what his name is. I'm probably gonna go look it up after this video, after I'm done recording. But you have a Japan team who has more quality. You have a Japan manager who seems to get the best out of these Japanese players tactically, and emotionally. He knows how to tap into these players' strengths. He knows how to play to these players' strengths with his tactics and formations and the play and the starting 11s he chooses. I think this is where it would all come down crumbling for Saudi Arabia. And I do think Japan, although I do think this would be a tough. I think Mancini would put up some resistance with some brilliant tactics and probably some defensive football and counterattacking against Japan. I do think this is where the wheels would fall off for Saudi Arabia, and I do think Japan would be our first finalist, um, our first team in the final. And I think I did this correctly. Yeah, our first team in the final, and in the other semifinal, Uzbekistan. I've complimented you enough, but physical strength and they play good football, but they don't play as good as South Korea. They don't play as good as Japan. I even don't think Uzbekistan plays as good as Iran in their football. This is where the wheels will come off for them. I do think Son would shine in a game like this against Uzbekistan. He's able to deal with their physicality. He's able to put the dagger in Uzbekistani hearts and get 1 or 2 goals in this kind of game, because he's a big game player. Son is for the big moments and for the big games. I think South Korea would win this, which would give us a very, very tasty final. I know a lot of people out there are predicting a Japan-Iran final. I wouldn't mind that. Iran and South Korea could go either way. That quarterfinal clash could go either way, trust me. But I'm feeling South Korea more than my own Irani boys this tournament. I really am. This gives us a final clash, juicy clash of Japan versus South Korea. And you guys, I'm sorry. I know everyone and their mother on freaking YouTube is choosing Japan to win this whole tournament. Trust me, I know everyone's choosing Japan. But like I said, in knockout football, surprises happens. Things never ever pan out the way we think they're gonna pan out. And to be honest, when I'm saying that, will Japan make a final? I don't know. Will they slip up in the games I had them in this knockout bracket? I don't know. I don't think they'd slip up. But in the final, guys, I think knockout football will take the win here. I don't think Japan will beat South Korea in a final. Trust me, I don't think they would beat South Korea in a final. I just have this feeling that with the way Son is playing, Son and Kang In Lee being some of the top scorers in the Premier League, the fact that you have Kim Min Jae in the back, who is his nickname is the Monster. He's a monster in the back and sweeps up everything. He's going to command that back line. He's one of the best players in the world. They have a decent midfield, and they have guys like Kang In Lee, and they're supporting Heung-min Son and Hwang Hee-chan. I'm sorry, guys. My champion, my predicted champion, and you could probably tell from an Asia Cup group predictions video that I would have gone this way anyway, because I was so high on South Korea. My Asia Cup predicted champion, knockout stage champion for 2024 Asia Cup is South Korea. Heung-min Son in South Korea. I think they could get it done 100%. And you guys, you might call me crazy in the comments. You might not agree. But remember, knockout football. There's never been a knockout tournament at these international tournaments that hasn't produced a surprise. There's never been an international knockout football tournament that has never produced big surprises. There's always big surprises, and that's why making predictions is fun, because we make these predictions and we talk about who is going to win. Oh, this team would easily beat this team, but then all of a sudden the world gets flipped upside down, and the teams that shouldn't be beating teams like Japan, Iran, and South Korea are beating them. They're knocking them out of the tournament. These things happen, and I do think if this were to be the final, a lot of people, probably 80% of people, 90% of people would choose Japan. Every video I've seen on YouTube is, oh, it's either Japan, South Korea final, Japan, Iran final, but in the end, they just choose Japan. But I'm sorry, Son is coming for that Asia Cup. Son is coming for that Asia Cup to cement him as the greatest Asian player of all time. Sorry, Park Ji-sun. He's coming for it. And Hwang Hee-chan's there so to assist him. Kim and Jae, who just won Korean Player of the Year, is there to assist him. Kang In Lee is there to assist him. I really believe in the South Korean hype. Trust me, get on the South Korean train. I really, really believe it. So yeah, guys. That's my knockout stage prediction. If you made it this far into the video, let me know in the comments if you agree. Let me know who you think your champions will be. Let me know who you think what you think the final will be. Let me know if I got any of my picks. If you disagree with any of my picks, let me know if you agree with any of my picks. Tell me how good of a football analyst I am and how smart I am and how gorgeous I am. Let me know. I love all negative and positive comments because we're all friends here. No one hates anyone. We don't hate each other. We're just here talking footy. You know what I mean? So yeah, guys. And again, if you made it this far into the video and you're a new subscriber, thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet and you made it this far, might as well subscribe because it's 30 minutes in when I said I didn't want to go to 30-minute mark because I'm an idiot and I just yap too much. You made it this far, might as well subscribe because you like looking at my face. Subscribe, like the video too. And again, comment and let me know. I really want to know what you guys think. I really want to know what you guys think. My channel isn't big. I'll reply to all comments usually because I like interacting with people. I like talking things. I like talking football. It's just what I like to do. It's what I like to do, guys. So yeah, guys. Again, if you made it this far, thank you for tuning in to another video by me on my channel. And yeah, look out. I'll probably do one of these. I'll probably do an AFCON one next week also. I'll do an AFCON one next week also because fuck it, why not? Hey, if we're going to do one for Asia Cup, might as well show AFCON the love too. So yeah, guys, again, thanks for watching. Subscribe and like. Peace.